Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Automation Test Insider. So this is part 22 of Selenium Framework Development series from scratch, and in the previous part we have seen how to implement retry logic in our Selenium framework. We have seen retry logic at the test level, and later on we have seen at global level as well. So this is what we have discussed in the previous video. Now today we'll focus on how to work with Git and GitHub. So I'll show you practically how we are going to push the code, the framework which we have created into GitHub repository, so that later on you can clone that project and you can work locally in your environment, and you can make you can use that code in your framework as well. So let's have a look at the agenda for today. So we're going to talk about the basics of Git and GitHub, like what is Git, what is GitHub, and why we use Git and GitHub. And later on we'll talk about some prerequisites, like what are the things required to go ahead with to work with Git and GitHub. So I have created very good documentation as well, guys, on this one, like today's agenda, how to download Git, how to sign up on GitHub, and how to push the code into framework into GitHub repository. So I have created very good documentation, and I'll share you the link at the end of this video as well, and we'll walk through the documentation as well, and I'll show you practically how to push the framework which we have created into GitHub repository. So let's get started with the basics of Git and GitHub. So what is Git? So it's a version control system. So whenever we work for automation team, right, or development team, we have to maintain our code, right? Whenever we write some code, we have to save it somewhere, correct? So for that purpose we need to use the version control system. So Git is nothing but the version control system where we can maintain different versions of our code, right? This is the simple definition of Git, because whenever we work we have to create the repository, right? We have to save our code to somewhere. So that's the reason we need to work in version control system. So Git is nothing but the version control system, and it tracks code changes and enables collaboration. So we can track our changes easily using Git, right? And we have different commands on Git using which we can easily track our changes, code changes, and collaborate with other team members as well. And it is installed locally, like we can install this Git locally, and it is offline as well. We can work without internet as well. If you talk about GitHub, right, so it is cloud-based platform to host Git repositories. So for this one we have to create the account, and we can access through browser, right? We need to sign up on GitHub, and we can access our GitHub repository account, and we can create different repositories over there, and we can clone the project from there, right? And allows teamwork and code sharing. So it will be very easy when we use GitHub for when we work in a team and for code sharing purpose. So this is basics of Git and GitHub. Now if you talk about why we use Git and GitHub, right, why we go ahead with Git and GitHub. So it is useful for version control and history tracking, which we have discussed, right? Collaboration with multiple developers, or if you talk about the automation testers, right? And backup and recovery of code. We can easily maintain the backup and recovery of our code. So let's say if we lost the code at our local, then we can easily pull the code from the repository, and we can have it in our local environment again. Efficient branching and merging. So we can create different branches, and we can code the merge as well. So let's say one automation tester working on one feature and another is working on another feature. Later on we can merge these two code into another branch, right? And we can push that into main branch. This is how it works basically. So we can create different branches using Git and GitHub, and we can merge the code efficiently. And it is useful for continuous integration and continuous deployment integration for automation. So this is about Git and GitHub basics, guys. Now let me show you practically how to achieve it, right? And before that, what I'll show you, like I made some changes on our project as well, like offline. So let me talk about it. What are the changes I made? Some prerequisites, like what are the things which I have made some changes, and how to before pushing the code into GitHub repository. So let me show you what are the changes I made. So if you go to the base class first, so here what I have done, so just I have updated the root directory over here. So earlier the path I have given like this, so it will take from here like root directory of the project. If you give like this system.get property user directory, so I forgot to update this earlier. So this is one update I made. And if I talk about here, so when we launch the browser, right, so here I have created different arguments over here. Like I have created the object of Chrome options class. So what it does, basically to work with different browsers, right, to work on the or I would say the behavior of the browser, we can create this Chrome options object in case of Chrome browser, right? And we can add different arguments over here, like headless. Suppose I want to run the code in our headless mode, so we can add the argument like this. And if you don't want, you can just comment this line. Similarly, these are the other options which we have. So this is what I have added offline before pushing the code into GitHub repository. So this is about the Chrome options. So similarly for Firefox as well, here I have added, and similarly for Edge browser as well. Because when we work with the continuous integration, continuous deployment with Jenkins environment, so we mostly run the script using headless mode, right? So that's why I have added this one over here. So these are the changes about base class, guys. Now if I talk about action driver, so let me open the action driver as well. Here what I made the changes is like we have, if you remember, we have created different user reusable methods, right? User actions method. So here we have created like click and enter text, get text, like that. So this, for this one I have created already video, right? It's like second or third video which we have created, second or third part. So what I have done, when we talk about Selenium, so we need to work with different actions, right? So what I have done, I have, because it's not possible to explain each and every method, how to work with action driver, which I have already explained. So later on what I have done, I have added different other methods as well, other reusable methods. So these are the different other methods which I have created, like when we work with drop down. So this is how we can create the method in action driver class. Select by visible text, select by value, and select by index, right? And how to get all the options from the drop down. So you can use this method. So these are the different reusable methods, guys. You can easily utilize these methods. Some JavaScript methods as well, like click using JavaScript. So sometimes normal method may not work, so we can use JavaScript method to click an element. Similarly for scroll as well, highlight an element, how to work with windows and frames. So here also I have created those methods, right? Alert handling as well. And we have browser actions, different browser actions, like how to refresh the page, how to get the current URL, maximize window, and some advanced element actions as well, like move to element, drag and drop, double click, right click, send keys with actions, clear text, upload file, etc., right? So these are the different methods which I have added in action driver class. Now if I talk more about it, so what are the other updates? So if I open pom.xml, so what I have done here, just make sure, guys, when you push your code, so this dependency, the TestNG dependency which we have added, make sure, earlier it was test over here, so make sure it should be compiled over here. Okay, the scope should be compiled, so that we can easily run our script using Maven. And another changes I made over here, pom.xml, is this one I have added over here, testng.xml. So we are going to utilize in our continuous integration using this pom.xml only. We run our script using this pom.xml, so that's the reason I have given the suite over here, testng.xml over here. So simply you have to add this plugin over here. or update the plugin. This is your Fire plugin, Maven your Fire plugin you need to update. So anyway, I'm going to push the code into GitHub repository, so from there you can easily get the code and you can update in your the framework which you are creating. You can easily update the code. So these are the two changes for pom.xml as well. Now what are the other changes? So if I go to TestNG.xml, I have corrected, like deliberately we failed some test cases, right? So I have added all the classes over here, and it is working fine now. Like all the cases are getting passed. So I'll show you as well. Before we push the code, I'll run it once and then we'll see how it works. So yeah, let me run it, guys. So right click and run as testng.xml. And another thing is, because we are running in a local environment, right? So I have already created, I'm already running the Apache server and MySQL server over here, and I'm running this script on local environment, just for your information, right? So if you want to run on the demo site, you need to change the URL in the config.properties, and you have to change the URL in testdata.xl data as well. Like from test data, you have to change the test data on this Excel file as well, in this test data file. Let me run the script whether it is working fine or not before pushing the code. So run as TestNG suite. So it will run in headless mode. You can see it's running. It will execute all the test cases step by step, like one by one, and we can see the results as well. You can see, guys, all the test cases are passed. Total test run 7 and pass 7, failure 0 and skip 0 as well. So let me open the extent report from here. Open with web browser. You can see all the test cases are passed over here, correct? So this is how you need to make sure that your script is working fine before pushing the code into GitHub. Now what I'll do, let me run it through Maven as well. Like what we can do, we need to make sure before pushing the code into GitHub repository so it is working. Like what we can do, we can right click on the project and run as Maven clean first. So what it will do, like it will clean up the project, like it will clean this target folder, whatever we have, the build, the compile code. Basically it deletes the /target folder, like this target folder directory, and the compile code it will delete all the jars, right, and reports as well. So later on, next time we can start fresh using Maven install. So install. So this you can see delete, it is deleting from here, right? So we can use like this, and another command Maven, what we can do, run as Maven install. So make sure this is also working fine. So basically what it does, it will reinstall all the like jar, the project related jars, and compile the code. And it will store in .m2 folder. So these are the things which we need to make sure like it is working fine. So you can see build success over here. So don't forget to do Maven clean and Maven install before moving the code into GitHub repository. So you can see total test run 7, failure 0, error 0, and skip 0 as well. So all the things are done. Now let me show you practically like how to push the code into GitHub repository. And this is the document which I have created. So in this document, what you are going to learn, we Git and GitHub basics. I have created some notes and how to download the Git, right, steps and create an account on GitHub, and later on push the project to GitHub. So let's go through quickly, guys. So you can go through this like Git, because we have already talked about it, Git and GitHub basics. So you can go through this, and the difference between Git and GitHub as well, how they work together. So you can have a look all these nodes. Now these are the download steps of Git. Download Git from below link. So I have given the link as well, and I have given all the screenshots how to download and all, right? So you can easily refer this document and you can easily install. You can just follow all the instructions and all the screenshots, and you can easily install it. So make sure before we work with like Git and GitHub, make sure you should have Git on your system. Like this, you can see step by step you can download. So it's very easy to download and install Git on your system. Now launch Git bash from your desktop icon, and we'll see what is the version, right? So yeah, before that, let me talk about create an account on GitHub. So you can just follow these steps, guys, how to create an account on GitHub. So I have given the complete steps as well for like how to create the account on GitHub. Now let's talk, this is the most important, right? How to push the project into GitHub. So launch Git bash from your desktop. So where we have this Git bash over here, so we can launch it. Increase the font a little bit. So what we'll see, we can check the version using this one. So this is the command, guys. We can use git version, so it will show you the version which we are using for Git. And later on, what you need to do now, navigate to your project directory, correct, where your project is located. So you can simply use this cd command, change directory, and you can give the project path, correct. Or what is the shortcut, you can go to the project directory, right click and properties, go to the project directory. Like this is my project directory, right? And here what I can do, right click, go to more options, so git bash here. So we can use like this as well. So you can see automatically it is showing my project root directory, correct. So this is how you can do, guys. Now what is the next step after that? Initialize your project using git init command, right? So that is used for initialize the project. So git init, simply you have to do like this. So it initialized empty git repository in this path, the path which we have the where we have our project, right? So how to check this? So basically what does it means? Git has initialized a new repository in your project folder. A hidden .git folder has been created inside test repository, the project repository, right? So let me go to the project repository, and that will be orange HRM. You can see inside this orange HRM, this .git file has been created, folder has been created, and this is, just make sure, like this is hidden, guys. You can see the color is little blur. So that is you have to change the option from here to see the folder. So for me it is already, I think it is already there. If you go to open, you can see show hidden files folder and drives. So you can make sure that .git file has been created. Now what you can do, you can simply write one command. Let me close this one, and we need to work this one. So simply you can use git status to see what are the untracked files. So these are the different folders, right, where we need to the commits are required, right? So this is how you can check using git status command. Now what we'll do, some of the folders are not required to be pushed into GitHub repository, right? So for that, what we can do, we can use this touch.gitignore command. So we can create our gitignore file. So file will be created, and we can update the the like screenshots we don't need, right? And we don't need some of like reports also. So because every run that will be created, so what we can do, we cannot it's better not to push all those changes. So what I'll do, simply I'll use touch git ignore, so we can run this command. So you can see it is successfully done. Now if you go to the project directory, and here that file has been created, this got dot git ignore. What I'll do, I'll open it, open with WordPad, and here we can update our git ignore file. So I think this document I have already updated. So you can see git ignore file will be created in project directory, and right click and open the file in Notepad or WordPad, and you can ignore the files whatever we don't want to push. You can update the files over there. So ignore build and dependency files like all the dot class jar related, and ignore id specific files like this, Maven specific files, log and output files you can ignore, and test reports and screenshots also if you want you can ignore like this. So test outputs, I have given the complete like details over here, like extent report also, and test output as well. So we can ignore those files. Simply what I'll do, I'll copy these details and I'll put in that ignore file, dot ignore file, right? And simply you can click on save. To save the document in text only format which remove formatting, are you sure you want to do this? To save in other format, click no. If I okay, let's save like this, that's not a problem. So just close it. Now let me try to open it again. Open with WordPad. You can see all the changes are updated over here, so that's fine. Now what is the next step, guys? So this is done, and after that what we need to do, save the file and now run the command git add dot, right? So what it will do, before that what I'll do, yeah, let's run that command. So to add all these files, whatever untracked files are there, so simply use git add and dot space dot. So it will add all these files into staging area. So what we need to do, and after that we can check using git status. Git status, you can see these are the files, right? And here you can see changes to be committed. So these are the files that has to be committed now. So we just, what we can do, we can understand this. So in local, these are the file which I have selected, and now we have to commit those, the local changes, right? So the next step is commit the changes. So simply we can do like this, git commit, and we can give command like this. And what it will do initially, if you connect with git repository, GitHub repository, so what it will do, it will ask you to like give this it requires some identification, right? So you may get like this, like please tell me who you are, and you have to provide your user ID and name. Some identification you need to provide. So you can provide your username, like what is the username, and what is your email ID which you have created. Basically it identifies your need to identify your account, right? So you can provide your GitHub user ID and your email ID. So what I'll do, I need to make the commit statement over here. So I'll put git commit initial commit of orange HRM project, and simply what I'll do, press enter. Now you can see all the files are committed, right? Now locally all the things are changed. Now what is the next step we need to do? It won't ask for me like this one because I have already connected to GitHub repository, right? And it is already identify me. Now what you'll do, you'll get like this, and later on, before pushing the changes, make sure you have created your GitHub repository on GitHub, right? So what I'll do, I'll create new GitHub repository. So simply I'll go to GitHub site, sign in, I'll log into my GitHub account, and we have to identify using authentication code, guys, two-way authentication. So what I'll do, I'll get the code. You can use any tool like for verification purpose like Duo Mobile or something. So, and you have to install that on your system. Save and now it is verifying. Now you can see successfully I'm able to log in. And what I need to do next, I need to create the new GitHub repository using this new button. And here I'll give a repository name like, let's say, Selenium Test Framework. Correct. So it is available, it is showing like it is available, and I'll make it public only, and no need to select all this for now, and simply I'll do create repository. Now you can see, guys, repository has been created, and what I'll do, I'll simply copy this GitHub repository and come back to the path, right? So we have created the GitHub repository, and I have given the screenshot as well. You can see all the screenshots related, like how I have created the GitHub repository. And now we have to link that GitHub repository with our local repository, right? So this is the command for that: git remote add origin, git remote git remote add origin, and put the path over here, the project path, GitHub repository path, and simply press enter. Now it is linked with GitHub repository. And the next thing what we need to do, push to main branch. Now let's see what are the branches are there right now, right? So for that we can write this command, git branch show current. So we can write simply git branch _ show current, right? Like this you can give the command over here and simply press enter. So you'll see master branch is there, correct? So what I'll do, I'll change that master to main branch. So what we can do here, we can write this command, git branch -m master to main. So we'll update from master to main. So we can do like this, correct? And again, if I run that the previous command like git branch show current, so you'll see now it has been changed to main, correct? Now simply if you like we are going to push the changes, so simply you use git push origin main and press enter. Now it will push all the changes to our main branch. And what I'll do next thing, simply refresh the repository which we have created. Now you can see, guys, all the initial commit changes or in HRM project you can see on GitHub repository, correct? So we have two main branch folders like main and test. You can see all the classes over here, action driver and base class, everything is pushed to GitHub repository. Now if you refresh the project, if you come back the project come back on Orange HRM, you don't see the cylindrical symbol over here, correct? So you can see here we have test project, so you can see one symbol over here, but here it is not showing. So how to do that? So simply right click on our project on Eclipse, and here we have Tim and share project. Click on share project and click on finish over here. Now you can see, if you drag it over here, you can see it is showing this main branch over here, orange HRM. Now all the changes are updated to GitHub repository, guys. And here you can see the folders which we have added in git ignore, those are not added. This target folder, right, and a test output folder, and here also in test resources the extent report is not moved, right, because this has been created at runtime, so we don't want this one, because every time when we run this, it will create different screenshots and it will create the different reports, right. So that's the reason no need to push those changes which are not required. So this is how you can do. You can push the code to GitHub, and this is the folder, this is the file, guys, which I have created, and it will be very useful. So what I'll do next, so here is the URL from where you can download this file for free of cost. So you can see you have to go to this. I'll provide the link in the description box of this video as well, and simply this is the file which I have created over here, I have uploaded. So you can simply, you need to download this one. So this is all for today, guys. So probably next video I'll show you how to clone this project on your local repository and how to use that, or probably we'll start Jenkins as well. So thank you for watching, have a nice day, and if you're new to this channel then please subscribe it. Thanks a lot, bye bye.